Hi everybody, it's Jennifer. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books, music, movies, and anything else that takes my fancy. Today I am doing my August and September wrap-up. So as you might be able to tell, this is going to take a while, so let's go ahead and get started. The first book I read was an audiobook. This Amazing Story of Quantum Mechanics by James Kakalios. It's 3 stars. Pretty decent. I liked it better the first time. There's a comics like Watchmen tie-in to how he does the how he brings about his stories about the quantum mechanics, and I found that a bit tedious at times. However, I do love hearing about what a horn dog Erwin Schrödinger was. That's always fun. All right. So the second book I read was right here. New York Rocker, My Life in the Blank Generation with Blondie, Iggy Pop, and Others by Greg. I keep wanting to call him Greg Valentine. Anybody who watched 1980s WWF knows who I'm talking about. So, yeah. This got 2 stars. There were some serious issues with the editing in this book. And frankly, considering what the topic was, it was way too boring at times. Yeah, this one's going in an unhaul pile. So, third was another audiobook, so I don't have a thing for you to watch, for you to look at. We Have No Idea, A Guide to the Unknown Universe, and I forgot to write who that was by. Dagnabbit. Sorry, I can't look because I'm filming this on my phone. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, I gave it a 3 stars at the time, which I think is pretty, I liked it. But I've pretty much forgotten. The unknown is still unknown to me. Actually, I think I knew most of what was in there anyway, which is usually what happens when I forget about stuff. It's just basically going over and me listening to stuff I've already known. Anyway, so 4 was Slouching Towards Bethlehem by Joan Didion. This got a 2 stars from me because I had such high hopes for this one, and I could barely get through it. I was kind of bored. Yeah, unfortunately. Even I bought this because I'd seen a part of one of the essays in here on a website, and I thought it would be awesome, but no. Unfortunately. I feel bad about that one. So next up is Vile Bodies by Evelyn Waugh. That got a 3 stars for me. I really liked the beginning. However, near the end, I thought it, Anyway, so I thought it kind of devolved into a bit of a soap opera at the end, and I do not care for those. Yeah. But who is this lady? Who is the evangelist lady whose name I can't remember? She had these angels, and they had Mrs. Ape was an evangelist from America, and she plays this part in here, and she's got this entourage of angels with her, and they all have the funniest, well, they don't all have the funniest names. I think there's Faith, there's Charity, there's Chastity, and then there's Humility, Prudence, Divine Discontent, hello, Mercy, Justice, and Creative Endeavor. Those are the names of her angelic entourage. Alright, so yeah, 3 stars for that for me. It was okay. It was pretty enjoyable, but I didn't love it the way I thought I would. So next up is 6, which is Monstrous by Volume 1 Awakening by Marjorie Liu, and Sana Takada, I think, is the artist on this one. Yeah, this was 5 stars because it was awesome. The artwork is gorgeous, and then the story was really interesting. There was this war against these 2 competing countries, and then the side that lost their... Anyway, there's some mystical stuff going on. There's like half people, half animal creatures. Yeah, it's so good though. And the end was like, there's this twist at the end that I really liked. Anyway, so that's Monstrous. Number 7 was Homo Deus by A Brief History of Tomorrow by Yuval Noah Harari, which is the follow-up to Sapiens. It's got 3 stars, the same as Sapiens, but I liked this one a little bit less. This one was a bit depressing, unfortunately. Yeah, but it was alright. Number 8, which you've heard me rant about before if you've been watching this channel. It's Martin Eden by Jack London. The sailor, he wants to better himself and become a writer, and screw you, Jack London, for that ending. Boo. Anyway, the rest of the story was really good though, and the writing was excellent, so I gave it a 4 stars. It still pissed me off, and I'm never reading it again. Okay, number 9 was an audiobook that was read by Willem Dafoe, and he did a really good job. It's The Langoliers by Stephen King, which is one of the novellas from 4 Past Midnight. This plane going towards Boston or Chicago, I think maybe Boston. Something happens, and like 90% of the passengers disappear, and they got to figure out what's going on. I love this story, and I love the miniseries too. Okay, so the last book of October hasn't happened yet. The last book of August was Steppin' on a Rainbow by Kinky Friedman. It's got 3 stars. It was good. There was one female character in here, and I freaking hated her because she was horrible. And that certainly took some of the enjoyment out of it for me. And the ending was a bit of a anticlimax, I feel. And let's see. The way Kinky Friedman, Kinky Friedman is a real character. I think he's run for governor of Texas once, and he did country music, and he knows a whole lot of people. And this is a fictionalized version. The main character is a fictionalized version of himself. And what goes on here, the writing's good, and it's a weird mix, but it's a good mix of like highbrow and lowbrow. Like, he refers to the bathroom as the dumper. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But he makes some really good sentences, and yeah, highbrow and lowbrow, it mixes really good. The issue is with the story, not with the writing. Alright, so September, I started the Strain trilogy by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. It follows, first off, there's this guy named F. E-E-P-H, I think. That's how he spells his name. He is the head of a special task force in the Centers for Disease Control. And then something happens where a plane comes from like Germany or something, and all the people on the plane are dead. Kind of. So he's got to figure out what's going on, and then something sinister is afoot, and there is an eclipse. And I started reading this right after the eclipse that we had. So I saw the eclipse, and then I was reading this book where an eclipse happened. That was kind of cool. So it was a very good start to the trilogy. I'm going to get to the second book later in this video. But I do believe it's, this got 3 stars for me. I feel like it started a bit slow. And there are holes in the story that dissatisfied me when I was reading it. However, once you get to the second book, most of them get plugged really good. you know, the holes get plugged up. So the story's a bit more solid after the end of the second book. But I'm still digging in the first book because I don't feel like that should be the case for books. I feel like the story should be the story, you know, it should be whole and complete. Not, you know, complete, but anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. So we'll move on. 3 stars. I liked it okay. We'll get a second book shortly. So the second book was The Man Who Was Thursday, A Nightmare by G.K. Chesterton. This got 5 stars for me. I loved this book, and I've also I listened to the audiobook from my library, but I got the Kindle version because I want to reread it and I want to take notes, because I feel like I felt like when I was reading it that if I could sit with it and like look at it, I'd get way more out of it. But as it was awesome. It was so funny and absurd, and it's really good. Yeah. It's an older book from like the turn of this century. Anyway, not this century, the last one. Anywho's, so the third book for September was Shovel Ready by Adam Sternberg. This got 4 stars for me. I thought it was pretty decent. There's this guy named Spademan. He's an assassin, and he does not want to know anything about anything. He just wants to know who he's going to kill, and he wants his money. However, he ends up getting tasked with offing the daughter of this prominent evangelist. And so, and she is pregnant when he finds her. And so that causes issues, and then stuff happens. So I'm not going to go into it any further because there might be spoilers. But I like the writing style, which is very quick. And this was a quick read. I read it in like 2 or 3 evenings. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And I'm going to have the follow-up for next month. So after Shovel Ready, there was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I have that on my Kindle, but I'm not... Looking at the Kindle cover page is a bit weird on this, so I'm not going to do that. So you can imagine it. Anyway, it's got the most recent adaptation movie poster as the cover. So it's a whole bunch of people in a boat. Anyway, so this got 4 stars for me. It was also a very quick read. I really enjoyed it. But I did not care for the ending, which is why it didn't get 5 stars for me. I do not like the way they tied everything together. I felt like it was way, like... It was a bit anticlimactic because of the way it happens. So I'm not gonna go into it any further because there's spoilers. But that was 4 stars, which I really enjoyed it. So, book 5 for September was Idaho by Emily Ruskovich, which has been making the rounds on BookTube. Hold on just a second. Sorry, my voice was going. Yeah, and that got 4 stars for me too. There were a couple issues with it, such as it moves around in time and it moves around in narrator. That's what spoiled A Visit from the Goon Squad for me by Jennifer Egan, but this didn't spoil as much for me, this book, because I think the writing was so much better than A Visit from the Goon Squad, and the story. The story is much better too. It was very haunting. It was compelling. I liked the writing. I finished it in 2 days because once we got started, I had to finish it. It was just really good. And, you know, everybody's been talking about it, so I'm not going to go into it too much. It's kind of like there was this incident that happened on a mountain, and the the book isn't so much about the incident, it's about the ripples that, it's about the story leading up to it and the aftermath. It kind of made me think of the way, you know, we can't see a black hole, you can only see like the ripples, you know, the accretion disk and the light that goes into it. Anyway, enough nerd talk. Yeah, so this was really good, and I do recommend it. 6, the last book I finished this month, was The Fall, which is the second book in the Strain trilogy. I do like, which is also again by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. I liked it better because it was much faster paced. There was a lot more action to it, and it was a good setup for the final book. So I'm hoping the third book doesn't let me down. That's for next month, though. Yeah, so that was the books I read. I also, if you've been following my channel, you've seen my ShakeTube videos. There's another one coming that's just coming out. So yeah, for ShakeTube, I read Taming of the Shrew, Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar, and A Midsummer Night's Dream, and those videos should be up if you want to hear about those. Alright, so that was what I read in August and September. Oh my goodness, okay. Yeah, overall, I think it was really good. The last half of the month was kind of taken up a lot by ShakeTube, so I didn't get a whole lot of reading in beyond that, but I still consider it very good reading. So, if you've read any of the books that I mentioned, or if you want to discuss them or anything like that, please make comments below in the comment section. Also, feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you are so inclined. Thank you very much for stopping by. Bye.